A Play is the Thing, with your host, Judy Sleed. Today's guest, Tracey Lutz, Executive Director of Maureen's Haven.
Love me. Hello once again to The Play is the Thing, and today I have Tracey as a playmate.
I don't have much opportunities to play, so this is good.
Yes, it is. This is what it's all about, some play. And you are working with Maureen's Haven, and it's such a wonderful organization. So tell us what you do there.
Okay. What we do is during the months from the months of November 1st through March 31st, we provide a warm, safe place for our homeless throughout the East End, the 5 eastern towns, to stay, literally to prevent them from freezing to death. The beauty of our program, though, is that we work with over 15 houses of worship throughout the East End who host the shelter for one night a week, every week, for the entire season. And their congregation comes together with volunteers who cook meals, set up beds, provide fellowship, support, and love to our homeless brothers and sisters. And also overnight innkeepers, which I understand is challenging. So if anyone would like to stay overnight with our homeless guests, we would greatly appreciate that. And then in the morning, they have a hot breakfast, they are given a bag lunch, and they are given a bus ticket or transportation if the buses aren't running, back to their point of origin, which could be Montauk, it could be here in the area, maybe Sag Harbor, as far west as Hampton Bays and Riverhead. And then the cycle continues the next day.
And of course, this is all happening here in Hamptons. And you mentioned, besides all these material things you give them love. So where did you get all this love within you to help all these people?
Well, I don't do it alone. That's the beauty of this program. That we were chatting earlier. We number 1,200 volunteers from the various congregations, community groups throughout the area who come together, and they give the love and the time and the attention. And our guests are very filled with gratitude for that, because oftentimes they're either scorned or ignored. It's very isolating for them to be homeless, and there are many myths that are associated with homelessness, that people are dangerous, that they'll attack you, rob you, etc. And quite frankly, the majority of our guests are none of those things. They just happen to fall on hard times or suffer from mental illness, which creates a homeless situation for them. So for them to come into really your home, which is your temple, your synagogue, or the other churches here in the area, which is First United Methodist Church, Most Holy Trinity Catholic Church, and St. Therese in Montauk, you're inviting them into your home, and you're giving them love and treating them like a human being. It's a beautiful, beautiful program.
So Tracey, where are you from?
Where am I from? I'm from, I grew up on Long Island, born and bred in Bayport, and I now currently reside in Center Moriches.
And in Bayport.
Mm-hmm.
So would be like, that's Suffolk County.
Suffolk County.
Yes.
About 52 miles west of here.
And what did you went to school there, and you took up how to take care of homeless people, right, in school?
Well, what I did was I did my undergraduate studies in social work.
Oh, you did?
Yes, and then my graduate studies also in social work. And social work I like because you learn how to deal with all different kinds of people, all different types of issues that might affect anyone. And then you get to put your skills to work with a particular group of people. So because it's such an eclectic education, I'm able to work in the field of mental health, which many of our guests have mental health issues, substance abuse issues, drug abuse, alcohol abuse. Some of our guests have been, never grew up in a family situation, have been in foster care most of their lives. So I have that breadth of experience to bring to the job, so it's very helpful. And also, I studied a lot of administrative things and went to Columbia Nonprofit Management School so that I could also manage a nonprofit as effectively as possible.
That's good. And your parents approved of the choice of your field?
Oh, absolutely. My parents, they just wanted their children to get an education. That's what they wanted. They knew that that was the road to independence and have other doors of opportunity open for us. So
That's really wonderful. I like the way you put it, towards independence. And you have siblings?
oh, I do. I have 7.
You are one of 7?
I am one of
or
8.
Are you one of 8?
Yes.
Wow, tell us all about your the other.
That's what also helps me in my work, because I've always had to interact with many different personalities. And there are 5 girls in the family and 3 boys. I am 3rd in the family, so my sister, I have a brother and sister older than me, and then the rest are younger. The oldest is, she'll kill me if I tell you this, but she's 53, and the youngest is 38.
Wow.
And then my daughter is 26, but yet my brother and sister have children who are 4 and 9.
Oh,
And then I have grandchildren who are 4 and 5, so they play with my nieces and nephews.
well,
It's
tell
just
me
a
the truth.
very
Tell me the
big
truth.
family.
Do you remember everybody's name?
Yes, I do.
You do? Do you have any duplicate names?
Well, I think my parents ran out of creativity, because my sister Mary is Mary Patricia, and then my sister Patricia is Patricia Mary.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and then the youngest is Catherine Mary. So we're Catholic, so you had to be named after a saint. So I think they might have run out of that
the name
too.
Mary.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Oh, well, that's really good and interesting. That and the way you put it, you had to know how to get along. So you learned it from growing up with all these siblings.
And we struggle just like any other family. With my brother, he's in recovery now, but he had very serious substance abuse issues. So I learned how to build boundaries because of that, so that I can build those same boundaries with love for our guests as well, and hopefully provide them with some encouragement to change their lives and offer whatever support we possibly can to get them into a facility that might help them, live a sober life. And then they have other options too. So, and then also in my family, we have a wide variety of careers. So my sister's a teacher, my other sister's a nurse, my brother's an engineer, I have another sister who's an attorney. So we can just go within our family whenever we need something. If it's legal advice or something about a health-related issue, or right now, my sister Catherine, who's a reading specialist, is helping me teach my grandson to read and teaching me all of those little tricks of the trade that help them to learn a little bit better. So just within my own family, I have all these resources to call upon, which is very nice.
It is very good. And are you teaching your children how to be a social worker also?
My daughter actually is a nurse. She works at St. Charles Hospital as a rehab specialist. So she's in the helping field, just a little bit different than me. And my little guys, they're kind of little. I just teach them how to be kind to people and understand other people's differences.
Well, sometimes I feel that we teach our children to be so good, and you go out to this world and they're being stepped on.
They're ill-prepared.
That's what I keep telling my children. I taught you to be so good, and you are just too good to be true, because a lot of people out there take advantage of people who are so good. Don't you feel that way?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's
So how do you reteach them?
Well, I feel very strongly, and I always have felt this way, that as long as I have done the right thing, then I can put my head on the pillow at night and I can be proud of myself and feel that I accomplished something for the day. The hard part is to dismiss the way that I was treated during the day, or to understand that that's somebody who might be sad or have trouble in their life, or nobody taught them how to be kind. And that's the way that I try to teach my grandchildren. because, you know, I'll share this with you. My grandchildren are biracial, so they, you know, my grandson has many questions about why is he brown and everybody else is not, and he wishes he was white because then he wouldn't be brown. He gets very confused. And nobody teases him about that, but he's always going to have a measure of, I think, feeling like the odd kid out because he's in school primarily with children who are Caucasian. So to teach him that he's not less than anybody else, he's perfectly fine the color that he is, and that if people don't understand that, then they really aren't his friend. And he doesn't have to be with them. He can go be with somebody else who's kind. But it's hard.
It is. So what I'm doing now, like we talked about, we bring our children up to be good and kind and not to do bad or wrong things. But now I'm realizing that what I need to teach them to be, not to be bad, but to be smart.
To be smart.
To be smart. So don't treat the situation like you want to be smart and help. I mean, you want to be good and help the other person, but at the same time, you have to be smart to know how to feel good about yourself and not undermine yourself in the process of helping others. And I think this is like also what we need to teach besides being good, be smart.
Be very smart.
Yes.
And learn how to protect yourself in an assertive way.
Yes. Yes.
I guess the best lesson that we can learn is don't give away the kitchen sink until you really know someone well enough. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't believe that we should just judge people when we first see them. You know, first impressions aren't always right. But we should have some measure of a little bit of cautiousness before we reveal ourselves too much.
Yeah. Don't give away the kitchen sink while the dishes are dirty.
Or when they're all clean, then they have a nice clean kitchen sink.
Or let them do the dishes.
Well, I'll tell you, that's one of the things that that is very interesting about the Maureen's Haven program, I have to say, is because all of the people who come forward to work in this program, they want to do it because they want to do something good, something worthwhile. Now, the flip side of that is that the people who come to help, volunteers such as yourself, they don't understand the full scope and breadth of some of the issues that our clientele deal with,
Right.
you know, or bring to the table. And oftentimes, they can be surprised, befuddled, tricked, confused, because they don't understand. Is that a mental illness? Am I being manipulated? Does this person really need my help? Has no one else said he would help? You know, those kinds of things. So what we're going to be doing this year is having a series of trainings and workshops that give more information.
For the volunteers.
For the volunteers.
That's a
These
good
are some
idea.
issues with mental health. You know, this is how you can handle certain things. Here's what addiction looks like. Here's how people generally act if they've lived on the streets for a very long time or they've been in survival mode. You know, and here very clearly are some strategies for you to use to maintain your boundaries.
To maintain your boundaries, that's good, because I heard from some people that they are afraid to get close to these people because then, I mean, like for myself, I would be afraid that I'm going to get so close that I'm going to feel sorry for them, invite them to live with me.
Yes, which you definitely do not want to do that. There is that boundary line where you can be loving and respectful and thoughtful
And helpful.
and empathetic, but not tell them where you live, how many children you have, what your last name is, where your bank account is, all of those things, or even take money out of your pocket. That's not what you're here to do. You're here to provide them with some solace and support and a warm place to sleep for the night. And after that, the best boundary line for anybody volunteering in the program is to simply say, I will contact Maureen's Haven staff and let them know that we talked so that they're aware of whatever this issue is that you're struggling with.
So that's an excellent idea to give some training or information for the volunteers so they will feel easier to
that they have
contact.
the tools
Yes.
that they need, you know, and that's the best thing to do, because now you've indicated to the guests that you've listened to them.
Right.
You've said, I can do something about that for you, and then you do it.
Yes.
And then we have the information, and we can follow up, and we can also tell you, yes, we're aware that this is going on, and this is what we've been doing with so-and-so, or thank you so much for bringing that to our attention, because now we will discuss it with them.
Great, great. I see you brought a pamphlet here.
I did. I'm going to leave this with you, Judy, but it basically runs through our program, and I put a lot of pictures in there because, again, you know, as a grandmother, I
You're
think
a
visual aids.
grandmother.
I have 2 beautiful grandsons.
My gosh, I mean, how do you keep yourself so young looking?
I don't know, but I'm happy about it.
Yes.
But basically, this just explains our whole program, where we screen our guests and what we do for
Oh,
screening.
you screen every guest.
Oh, absolutely,
so you-
because again, we're dealing with lots of volunteers who need to have some assurance that they are dealing with people who are relatively safe. You know?
Yeah.
So what we do
That's
is
good information.
every day we screen.
Uh-huh.
The same people, it doesn't matter if we see them 100 times, we screen them every time they come for a night at our shelter, at any one of our sites.
How many people do that? The screening?
The screening, right now we have 3 screeners, and they work different days or evenings, and then we also have drivers who drive our vans to bring the screened clientele to the site. But we check, we breathalyze to make sure they, you know, they haven't, we don't have a zero tolerance because many of our clients are, you know, physically addicted to alcohol, but they have to be below the legal limit and their behavior has to be appropriate, so they can't be acting aggressively.
Well, that's wonderful.
We check their bags to make sure they don't have any drugs or weapons or any other kind of contraband.
You know, I'm a volunteer and I'm not aware of all these things that you do.
Yeah, and then we do a behavioral assessment. How are you today? What did you do with yourself today? We have a little conversation with them, kind of assess where they are. We also get to know them over the course of the 5 months, because it's every day, 7 days a week for 5 months that we see basically the same people. So we know if somebody's off, if they're having a bad day, perhaps they're having, you know, problems with another guest. So when we get to the site, when we arrive at the site with our screened guests, we can say, you know, these 2, keep them on separate ends of the room, you know, they're just having a little disagreement, but we're not concerned that it'll be, you know, turn into anything physical. You know, should that happen, call 911 right away. We don't say play around with it at all, just call the police. All of the coordinators have my phone number, so they can contact me whenever if they have a question or an issue during the night. But we also let them know who's with them. They all sign in. We let them know what kind of behavior people are and what the general, as a friend of mine likes to say, temperature of the group is, so that you have, as a volunteer, as much information as we have.
So we are here in the Hamptons, and Tracey, you say you live like a little west of here?
Yes, Santa Mauritius.
So how come you're doing this here? Are you doing this where you are also?
The program actually is designed for the homeless on the east end of Long Island. So the program runs from through the town of Southampton, Southold, East Hampton, Southampton. Right now we don't have a site in Shelter Island, but we do have homeless on Shelter Island or who are from Shelter Island who come to our facilities. So it is only for the 5 eastern townships. Our main office is in Riverhead, which is, you know, in the town of Riverhead, which is one of the 5 East End towns. And we have sites in West Hampton, Hampton Bays, Greenport, Southold, Mattatuck, Southampton, East Hampton, now Montauk, St. Therese is going to be opening their
But
own
it's
site.
still, you know, some miles away from where you live.
Oh, yeah, but what we do is every day I go to Riverhead to the office, and then we screen at the train stations, and then we drive to wherever it is that the site's going to be located for the evening. So I spend a lot of time in the car and in the van and on the bus sometimes, yeah.
So is this a job you've been looking for, or did somebody find you?
Yeah, you know, I sort of fell into it. I've worked with youth and families for many years. I was the executive director of the retreat out here in East Hampton for over a decade. Then I left to do some consulting work, started also teaching online for University of Phoenix, and then I met a woman who is on the board of Maureen Saban, and they were looking for a new director, and she asked me if I was interested, and
Wow.
here I am.
Things fall into place. You said you were a teacher. What did you teach?
I teach financial management in the nonprofit sector.
Wow, I
Yeah.
need to take a lesson.
I
in
need to take, I need a lesson
financial
for financial management in the Tracey Lutz sector, but
Oh.
as far as business, I'm very good.
Yeah, I'm so bad with figures and money. I wish I never had to do that.
Well, unfortunately, since we are we're a not-for-profit corporation, so we do have to abide by certain rules and regulations as to how the money is spent and how we account for it. So particularly if you or anyone wanted to make a donation to the Maureen's Haven program, you would want to know that we're good stewards of your money, that the money's being used well.
We want to know where it goes
Absolutely.
and how much good it does.
So we keep a very close accounting of the money that comes in, how it's supposed to be spent, and then we spend it according to the donor's wishes.
Do you also get grants?
We do. We have government funds. We get a little bit of money from each one of the towns. We also get some money from Suffolk County government. Southampton Bath and Tennis Charitable Fund gives us funding. We get funding from the R.K. Mellon Family Foundation we received money from this year, and United Way. So all of it comes to bear. And then we fundraise. We have events and appeals in order to...
And also the people who volunteer, because I know from where I volunteer, some of the volunteers donate their, not only the time, but money, I mean, with food. I mean, this was one lady who, she provided the food for that whole night.
Yes, and many of the churches, the volunteers of different
Yeah.
congregations bring food to the site. Some cook at the site, but that's people taking money right out of their pockets to make a tray of ziti or whatever it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's
So when you think about not only the number of volunteers, but the resources that are brought to bear for this program that are all donated, it's phenomenal.
Now, I have another big question. Who writes the grants?
I do.
Oh my gosh, because I tried to write a grant once and it's tremendous amount of work.
It is a lot of work. But once you get your basic boilerplate, your basic story, then it's just a matter of answering their questions, but you already have all the information because
So
you've done it
how
once.
often do you need to do that?
It depends on the funding source. Usually once a year for funding sources that are recurrent, ones that you'll be getting a year after year after year. But then there are others that are new. You're always out there prospecting, looking for new sources of funds. So, and all of those foundations and sources of funding have their own guidelines. So you have to follow their guidelines. But the vast majority of them ask the same questions, only a little bit differently, maybe in a little different order. So it's like doing a big research paper, a persuasive research paper.
Oh, that's right, because you're a teacher, so you are used to all these answering questions and like doing homework.
Yes, exactly.
It is a what? So is there anything we missed from
Well,
that
what I just wanted to share with you, and I just wanted to tell you that this past season, the 2010-11 season,
Yes.
252 individual people were provided with shelter. So for the whole season, 252 people, really the program saved their lives. And the volunteers in this program saved their lives because they got them in out of the cold. And 205 of them were men and 47 of them were women.
Wow.
7% were veterans of Vietnam, Korea, also Desert Storm, and Iraq. and we had an average of 40 guests a night.
So if anybody is interested in either donating or joining as helper, how would they go about it?
They can call the office,
Maureen's
Maureen's
Haven?
Haven, which is 631-727-6831. Or they can always email me. It's my name, Tracey Lutz, at maureenshaven.org. And we'll get back to you right away.
It's just so many. I have so many other questions. We don't have time for all the answers, as we were discussing.
Well, I may have to come back again then.
Like we were discussing before the show about the rehabilitation of some of these people, which I feel is also important. But you said that you began to do that.
Yes, one of our goals in our strategic plan is to open a full-service day center where we will be able to provide more comprehensive services and do some real good case backgrounds so that we can assess people and meet them at the level where they are and say, okay, what would be the best placement for you? Maybe in a structured living facility, perhaps independently, maybe in a sober house. We don't know until we get some more information on our guests and are able to have a facility where we can offer those services in a comprehensive way.
Yeah, this is, I think it's important, but it's a wonderful job that you're doing, and so many people are involved in it.
So many people.
So many.
You can't even imagine until you actually see the program in action, as I know you have seen it in action. It's really quite something, isn't it?
It is. It is really great. I don't know if you mentioned a number, but you have a number for volunteers? How many volunteers?
Over 1,200. Over 1,200 volunteers
and
in this effort.
Actually, this is like during the cold months and during the summer months.
During the summer months, some of our clientele are seasonal workers, so they're back to work and their employer provides housing for them. Others have gone into sober housing. Some rent a place for a few months.
Well, it's been wonderful talking to you.
You
also,
also, Judy.
Information, and let's say goodbye to the viewers, and hopefully Tracey will come back and talk to us again about this other.
I would love to.
We could talk like for a whole half hour about the rehabilitation program.
Easily.
It is just wonderful. So I'm so happy you could come and talk to us.
I am happy that I could come too.